This is Osiris with the Cover City News, Uncle Entertainment Stones, and the Colorado blog, and your weekly show host for 15 minutes. Today, we are out live at the World, I think it's an international tournament, right?
It's the US Open of Handball.
It's the US Opening for Handball, and it's being held out in the Los Caballeros Sports Center out in Fountain Valley, California. If you've never been out of here, it's really beautiful. We are speaking to Mr. Bruce FaBrizio, who is the founder. You know that beautiful green stuff you used to see way back in the day before anything else got popular? Simple Green, that's my man. He's also presenting the handball tournament today. Let's talk to him for a bit. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm absolutely thrilled. We got a beautiful day. We got 350 handball players, 3 different disciplines. We got families, we got food, we got just a wonderful atmosphere out here.
It is really beautiful. Now, I know you got started in Simple Green back in the 1989. I think your father passed away, but you were doing it in the 70s. Is that right?
My dad and I invented it after we saw a man die in a cleaning accident in 1975.
And so I know that as a legacy to your dad, you have taken it on to Germany, Austria, all the other countries now are using Simple Green, and I wanted to ask you, when you go into the other countries with your product, how is it different there? Do they have the same risk factors involved with biodegradable products that we do here in the U.S., or what happens with them?
Yes, it's just a matter of economics, and some countries just don't have the infrastructure to deal with the development of new products and affording of new products, and they are still using toxic chemicals. We're in 54 countries worldwide now, and we have been able to help educate and show the safety and the economics of Simple Green by going in and demonstrating it in country, and we overcome very many of the cultural problems and economic problems by showing the multiplicity of use. So yes, we're out there, like I said, in 54 countries now.
And how did you go from doing something like Simple Green to a big old handball tournament?
Well, in the early mid-70s, when I was drafted to play football, I went to play football, and the first thing they did at camp was ask us to learn to play handball to help the defensive players learn how to go forward and backward and left and right and develop both sides of your body, which, because most people have a dominant hand and a dominant side, handball teaches you how to be ambidextrous and how to keeps your balance. You have to be on balance on both sides of your body and move it equally as strong, which is a very difficult thing for people to learn to do, but it helps all types of sports, but that's where I got my start, was in football.
You know, I never thought of that it would be able to help someone with ambidextrity. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And then how did you get it to Fountain Valley, and how did it develop that Simple Green was involved? Do they have something to do with the cleaning of the facilities? Or?
No, this is a human story. I met Naty Alvarado in 1984 at the Rose Bowl handball tournament, where I fell in love with what he was doing, which is the fact that he's the greatest handball player of all time.
Yes, he is.
We became very good friends, and I started sponsoring his son's junior handball programs almost 30 years ago. His son's now 41. So it's been a long relationship, and we needed to find a place to hold Naty's annual Halloween-style party that he was having every year for this is the 24th year. So 6 years ago, we moved out here to Los Caballeros so that we could expand it into all 3 of the disciplines of handball.
Wow. So what are all 3 disciplines of handball?
Okay, we start with what Naty and I are trained at, which is 4-wall indoor, and then you have
4-wall indoor.
4-wall indoor,
right.
And then you have 3-wall outdoor, which most people in California are familiar with. They play at the beaches and they play at the school grounds, and that's also played on the East Coast. But the East Coast is really big in 1-wall, which is just a flat wall on an open space, and that is actually so popular that it's going to be a demonstration sport at the next Olympics in Brazil.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's really quite wonderful to see. This is the only place currently where you can see all three disciplines at the same time participating.
You mean in Fountain Valley? This is the only venue?
This tournament, our tournament, the only tournament where all three are at the same place, and we're seeing people learning the other guys' sports. It's really quite interesting.
Now, where do the players come from? Like, how are they drawn from their popularity in handball, or are they carefully selected by a board, or how does that work? Who gets to participate?
Well, we have age groups and we have gender groups that can come from anywhere, any walk of life, and all they have to do is just sign up and pay the entry fee. The professionals are ranked just like tennis players. They participate in tournaments all around the country and also in other countries, and they're ranked by how they've done in those other tournaments. And we have people from Mexico, Canada, from lots of people from Ireland participating, as well as all over the U.S.
Wow. And so now, in terms of gender, are there really large amounts of women that are handball players, or is it a very masculine sport, or is it now is it diverse now? What kind of transition has it been?
Yes, well, we have a program called Youth Handball where we give away outdoor handballs by the thousands to elementary schools all across this country and have for the last 5 years. And we're seeing a nice development of the female entrance is growing every year. We have a good, solid young girl program now, and the pros are some of the best in the world.
Yes, yes. I know Naty's last name is Alvarado.
Yes.
Yes, and I know that he's the #1 handball player in the whole world, right?
Well, he was #1 for almost 20 years, and his son is also in the top 5 now. So.
And now they're looking at a young 22-year-old named Timbo Gonzalez.
That's the outdoor.
Who is the guy that's coming up now in the ranks?
Well, he's the outdoor king right now. That's correct.
Wow,
we have 22-year-olds on the inside as well with Mr. Moreno. So we have young lions coming up, which is what the sport needs. We have a lot of people that are like me that are long in the tooth, if you will.
Yes. I like that. I like that reference.
Lots of new, young, very talented players, and that's what this tournament's trying to encourage. Yes.
And have you guys had a difficult time in the past getting younger people? I mean, was it always like that, or young people pretty much? I mean, was handball one of these sports that people had to try to figure out what they wanted to be involved in?
Well, no. The problem was there was no future. A long time ago, there wasn't much of a pro tour. There was 2 or 3 tournaments a year, and you could only win a very limited amount of money. So all your good athletes moved on to other sports. Well, now we have lots of tournaments, and this tournament is the grand prize, if you will, for money, and we're escalating the purse every year. This year it's almost $250,000.
Yeah, I saw it was like $222,000.
Right, and when we first started, it was like $22,000.
Yeah.
So that's attracting lots of new young people that we would lose to other sports.
So now, how does handball? One of the final questions, how does handball weigh out in terms of all the other sports in terms of popularity? How does it weigh out? Is it becoming more popular? Is it more than tennis? Is it becoming up level to tennis at one of those sports, or what's happening now?
It would be on the level of rugby. It's a growing sport, but it's way behind the major sports. But we're seeing, that's why the Olympics in Brazil are giving us the opportunity to have a demonstration, because the one-wall version of handball is played in 120 countries, and virtually anybody anywhere can learn to play it, because all you need is one wall and a ball. And a ball. And so it's a growing sport, and hopefully the events that we're having here in the Worlds and the big tournaments they have in Ireland will help continue to nurture it. Obviously, if we can do well at the demonstration in Brazil, the sport will explode.
Now, one thing I wanted to tie into that, but you're talking about it's an upcoming sport and that it is gaining measure because of a country like Brazil, but I know that they're totally in the sports. I think they cried when they lost the Olympics, but I know that handball, what would be the kind of stamina that somebody would have to have if they decided to really get heavily into being a handball champion and really doing the handball tournament?
I have been a gym rat my entire entire life. I played 4 sports: football, rugby on a national level, track and field. I wrestled. I played baseball. I can attest to the fact that there's no workout I have ever seen, whether it's cross training or the martial arts, that requires so much ambidextrous concentration. And the calorie count, if you go to anybody's book, you'll see that the calorie count per hour playing handball is like 900. So I mean, it is one of the most intensive workouts you're ever going to be part of. It's like watching chess being played at 100 miles an hour.
Wow, that's an interesting analogy. And what does it do physically for the body? What are some of the benefits that somebody can gain from doing handball?
Well, you're going to burn the cardiovascular off the chart.
Yeah.
You're going to burn calories off the chart. And also you're going to get, when you learn how to use your right side and your left side of your body going forward and backward, the sense of balance, the sense of calmness in any environment will help you live a longer, healthier life. That's why I don't know who else has brackets for the 80s and up. We have guys playing handball 85, 87 years old today.
Oh, really? That's interesting. So
Yeah,
it's
so it's a
something that you
long-term.
can play. It's a long-term sport. And it doesn't damage you, I guess, to the extent that football and basketball and those where they have to retire really early because their bones are all out.
Yeah, we're not going to have any concussion problems or discussions with this sport.
That's amazing. So, last question. Where do you see handball in the next 5 years? What kind of growth do you expect? What kind of monies? I know the purse is getting bigger all the time. So what kind of monies do you see being put in? And do you see any of the big national, international sponsors coming on board to really pick it up and move it right out there?
We're hearing in the background people like Budweiser.
Got a lot of people in the background,
Yeah.
people. Budweiser's here.
The Red Bull people
The
are
Red
here
Bull
looking.
people are here.
And so we know that there's a lot of consumption going on from the families of both of those here. So I think that the future is really bright for handball.
Yeah. And where is Mr. Bruce FaBrizio going to be doing in all of this?
Hopefully right here, right in the middle of it for the next 25 years. I've been doing it now for almost 25 years of handball with Mr. Alvarado, and we'd like to do.
Certainly admire your tenacity and your stamina. And again, people, this has been 15 minutes. Ankh Entertainment, Stones of the Color Bear blog, and reporting for the Cover City News with Mr. Bruce FaBrizio, the founder and the presenter of today's beautiful, magnificent, if you're not here, I can't tell you. You have to be here to feel the energy. Handball tournament happening right here in Fountain Valley, California. I'd like for you to say your website, where somebody can reach you, how do they find out about doing more handball go?
No, I would just tell you to tune in to www.simplegreen.com.
Simplegreen.com.
Everything you ever wanted to know about Simple Green and handball.
And don't forget, he is the man behind Simple Green. So the next time you go in the store, pick up a bottle. It's an amazing product. And that's a wrap. Thank you.